How's it going, guys? And welcome back to another post-match analysis of Cool Air's Corner. Today, we will be looking at the game between Royal Antwerp and FC Barcelona, match week 6 of the Champions League. A game that doesn't seem to have too much in play, with Barcelona having clinched the first position of their Champions League group. Even if Shakhtar or Porto were to win one of their games and tie Barcelona points should Barcelona lose, we would still go through in first place due to the head-to-head or the goal differential there for the group. So not much in play here on the front face of it, but of course, if we do win this game, we were to get another 2.8 million in earnings, which obviously for Barcelona, everything is very important, especially given the fact that we will be playing a game in Dallas, Texas, in the United States to get around 5 million. So not much more than 2.8 million. And we're sending our players right after their end of La Liga game all the way across the world to play friendly because we are very short on money. So getting the 2.8 million here would be nice, especially as well getting a big victory against a smaller opponent, with all due respect to Royal Antwerp, in order to make a statement after losing to Girona 4-2 and having just a very terrible performance out there at the Montjuic over the weekend. So we will get into this one very shortly. Oh, here we go. The game ended 3-2 to obviously Royal Antwerp. Barcelona losing with goals coming from Vermeeren, Janssen, and Ilenikena, and then Ferran Torres and Mark Guiu actually scoring again there at the 90th. The lineups were looking very different. Obviously, Xavi's trying to do some rotations here for this game since we were already clinching the first place. So we see another 4-3-3 with Balde on the left-hand side, Christensen and Koundé in the middle. Surprisingly, Koundé's not playing right back this one, which is very good news. And then a young academy prospect, Hector Ford, coming in on the right-hand side. In the middle, we see Fermin Lopez on the left-hand side of the center mid, Oriol Romeo as the CDM with Sergio Roberto on the right-hand center mid. This formation almost looked like a double pivot with Sergio Roberto and Oriol Romeo at the bottom of that diamond and Fermin Lopez at the top. That's how that would be played out. And then on the attacking, we see a completely different lineup as we saw last time, except for Lewandowski. So we see Ferran Torres on the left-hand side starting, Lamine Yamal on the right-hand side, and then Robert Lewandowski holding the ninth position there. From Royal Antwerp, FootMob has it as a 4-5-1, but in reality, they started as a 4-3-3, finished the game as a 4-5-1, kind of playing a little bit of a more counter-attacking style. So in net, they had Boots, Windal on the left back, Koulibaly on left center back, Alderweireld right center back. You had Richard Delat, and then Ejuke would be playing left wing in this game. Yusuf left center mid, Vermeeren center mid, Keita right center mid. Kirk would be playing the right wing, and then Vincent Janssen, who did a lot of pressing and very good play, would be at striker, all coach under obviously ex-Barcelona player Mark van Bommel. So now getting into the match summary, we see that Barcelona kept 69% of possession, with Royal Antwerp keeping 31%. Obviously, we know now that Barcelona's possession hasn't been very productive lately and is nowhere near what we used to see in the tiki-taka days, so that possession doesn't mean much. You can see by the expected goals that Royal Antwerp had the 1.67 expected goals and Barcelona having the 1.13, which does tell you that really Royal Antwerp deserved to win this one, with total shots being even, but shots on target being through to Royal Antwerp, especially the big chances as well. And yeah, corners did go to Barcelona, so we were in their attacking half a lot of the time, but the really good chances came from open play for Royal Antwerp and them really delving deep into us a lot, finding a lot of space in between the defensive and the midfield line, a lot of interplay between their center mids, their fullbacks, as well as their strikers. They would really create a lot of diamonds in there, causing a lot of issues for Barcelona, and Barcelona keeping possession up top a lot, really holding back the play, not making a lot of runs. And sometimes when those runs would come in, we would see Oriol Romeo or Sergio Roberto not really being suited to making the passes that were needed. So that was kind of how this game went, and let's get straight into the first goal here. Okay, so on to this first goal we go. As I mentioned earlier, Royal Antwerp were really dominating this game. A lot of the good things they did came by the way of their pressing. They were pressing really well up against Barcelona, and Barcelona has been struggling a lot to get out from the back, especially with Oriol Romeo and Sergio Roberto being our double pivots, center mids here. So that's definitely not an ideal situation to see here. So in this first goal, coming in on the second minute, very early on, we can definitely see how this pressing leads to the first goal. So let's get straight into it. So for this goal, we have Christensen coming in here, getting pressed by Kirk, Sergio Roberto getting pressed by Vermeeren, Yusuf pressing Oriol Romeo here, Vincent Janssen covering the outlet pass to Koundé, and then Ejuke here even covering Fort. So a lot of good pressing here, really taking care and making sure that Barcelona's outlets are very well covered. Christensen then plays a typical ball out to Iñaki Peña, which we often see happening with Ter Stegen playing that ball back there, and he can play a long ball maybe here onto Fermin or another player just swinging it back up top, making sure that we're not in danger. But in this situation, obviously, Iñaki Peña is one of our newer keepers, so he passes the ball straight onto Romeo, who is getting pressed by Yusuf. And Romeo, instead of making a safe option, he feels the pressure, obviously, and tries to pass this ball out to Sergio Roberto. The ball goes absolutely horrendous. Vermeeren cuts into it and then has a free shot on goal at Iñaki Peña. So that was the first goal. I wouldn't completely put it down on Romeo on this one. Again, I think a lot of the issue with this goal comes down to the tactics and to Xavi really wanting Barcelona to play out of the back. And we've seen that it's really not working well for Barcelona, specifically the staff that you put out for this game. Oriol Romeo, Sergio Roberto, Christensen, and Koundé have been doing not well at all playing out from the backs. Why would you have them come out under pressure, especially knowing that a team like Royal Antwerp is going to be pressing very high up the pitch? So that was the first goal. Very unfortunate situation, but definitely not new as a Barcelona fan, seeing us scoring very early on to some silly mistakes. Okay, so on to the second goal of the game we go. This goal does come in the 35th minute of the game. It's the tying goal from Barcelona. And weirdly enough, as I've been saying a lot of the time in these past videos, is that FC Barcelona has been very static when they get up the field. So they get up the field, they're just passing it around. There's not a lot of movement, not a lot of runs to be made, really. And that's kind of costing us very much. João Felix likes to play with the ball at his feet, and other players tend to do that. Rafinha, Lamine Yamal do that a lot. Even Lewandowski and Gundogan and Pedri have struggled to find those passes that cause the real damage. So a lot of the goals we have been seeing from FC Barcelona are actually on the counter, making productive runs and really not waiting for the opposition to get there. So to get there and be able to defend those balls. So here we go. This goal is exactly a representation of this, and actually very well created by both Ferran Torres and Lamine Yamal. One of the reasons why I've been really enjoying watching Ferran Torres, and I think he's probably one of the top 3 players in the club at this very moment, is because of his way of making runs in behind and just being really active. So from this goal, we actually catch Royal Antwerp completely caught off guard. The ball goes here. It's a divided ball between Lamine Yamal and Vermeeren. Vermeeren actually ends up winning this header. It falls down perfectly to Sergio Roberto. Then Sergio Roberto's getting pressed by Vermeeren here. Lamine Yamal is open on this run. Ferran Torres comes in from here, drops in again. Very beautiful movement here. He's actually a left winger, so you can see how much he's been moving, trying to get active and find that ball. Roberto passes that ball out to Ferran Torres. Lamine Yamal then makes this run. He gets this ball. Vermeeren is running back. Juk is running back. Koulibaly, Clerc. You see World all the way up here, completely caught off guard. Everyone's running in. Ferran Torres continues this run. Lewandowski's making this run behind over here. Richard Delad's trying to catch up. Keita is here following Lopez, so he can't close down this pass that will come over here. Yusuf comes in. Vermeeren comes here. Koulibaly and World are just way too behind the play. Yamal cuts in here, sees this beautiful, beautiful ball, passes it to Torres in here. Torres finds his way in. Keita would be over here by this point, and then Ferran Torres just goes in and scores. So very perfect representation of how Barcelona could actually really benefit from getting out and playing in the counter, playing quickly, not really staggering a lot and waiting for everybody to come up the field, because then that allows the whole team to set up and find their defensive presence in the low block. So having those really penetrating vertical runs from Ferran Torres, from Fermin, from Lewandowski can be really beneficial to this team, and that's an exact representation of that in his second goal for Barcelona to tie this game. Okay, so on to the second half we go. We hadn't seen much from Barcelona going forward from this point. Really, the only chance we had was that Lamine Yamal Ferran Torres combination that ended up in the goal. Other than that, Barcelona hadn't done much. Maybe a couple of rebounds from their pressing, but nothing too much in the building up aspect of the game there. And Royal Antwerp just kept on pressing really well, and even their attacking combinations ended up yielding some good results to the point where they had this disallowed goal. But I think it's very important to go over this disallowed goal because it really shows the way in which Royal Antwerp is actually taking advantage of the spaces that Barcelona were leaving behind, and it's a very similar scenario from which what we ran into at Girona, where we were going over one of their right backs or left backs would dribble in this specific space here and find a lot of success. We're going to see a very similar scenario here. Not with the dribbling, but with the passing and just overall the spacing between the defense and the midfield is still very open and allowing a lot of opportunities for the opposition. So in this specific goal or offside goal, if you will, Keita is coming up with the ball. Lopez is here. Keita makes the easy ball out to the left. Torres is sitting right here, kind of pressing, but the light takes this simple dribble to the left. Sergio Roberto's kind of here in no man's land, not really guarding anyone. Yusuf's all the way over here. Ajuk is guarded by Romeo, and he leaves Vermeeren to make this beautiful run inside. Christensen sees it a little too late. Ball comes in here. Vermeeren actually gets across really easily because Balde is pinned here, and Christensen hadn't realized that space. Ball comes in here, and then Janssen is back here waiting for that cut back. Vermeeren passes it, and very similarly to how Koundé messed up on that third goal, I believe, from Girona in the weekend, Koundé completely misses his ball, gets out to Janssen, and Janssen puts it away. Very, very luckily, this goal was offside by a little bit, but I think it gives you a really good idea of how Barcelona is lacking a lot of structure in between the defense and the midfield line, allowing teams to really have a lot of building play from there. And this specific situation or run of play was happening a lot to Barcelona, where Vermeeren, their center mid, would actually come inside. The right back would be here, and they would create this triangle, allowing a lot of interplay between the right winger, right back, and right center mid. Something that is what Barcelona would like to do, and they're getting very outplayed because of their lack of defensive structure. Okay, so on to the third goal we go. And it pains me to say, but this third goal again is a mistake from Oriol Romeo and a mistake of playing out of the back. Again, here we have Kirk actually in the corner, holding the ball with Balde. We have a lot of people defending. Royal Antwerp here on the corner. We have Ferran Torres coming in to defend the left. Sergio Roberto coming in to defend Vermeeren. Romeo on Yusuf. Fermin Lopez on Ajuk. And then Koundé on Vincent Janssen and Christensen kind of here floating around for any cleanup. Actually, Barcelona ends up being able to take the ball away from Kirk. Balde and Roberto end up doubling here. They get the ball out, falls to Roberto. Roberto passes it out to Balde again. Balde passes it out to Romeu. And now we're in a scenario where Yusuf is behind Romeu here. Fermin is pushing out, so Ajuk is chasing him. Torres is pushing out, so the lad has to chase him. It's kind of like this. Sergio Roberto has Vermeeren behind him. Valde's getting out. It looks like a perfect scenario to play out. We had already beaten the press. We had a long ball out to Lamine Yamal, I'm sure. A long ball out to Fermin Lopez, or even a long ball out to Ferran Torres. But Oriol Romeo, for some reason, again, here overthinks it, takes too long to decide if he can play the long ball, waits for Yusuf to easily tackle him. Yusuf takes this ball here, passes it out to, I believe, is Janssen. Yep, so ball goes out to Janssen. Koundé now has to defend here. Janssen cuts it across goal. And that'll make it 2-1 to a Royal Antwerp. So right when Barcelona was actually starting to gather a little bit of momentum, not really finding their attacking structure because there really is none, but actually being able to create some chances. Lamine Yamal hit the bar before on a breakaway from Fermin Lopez bringing down a header. And we were actually starting to beat the press a little bit from Royal Antwerp, forcing them to get to play our game a little bit. But of course, another mistake coming out from the back by Oriol Romeu. And we're down 2-1 now, with the game just seeming very, very grim, especially after being able to come back on this game. And now another mistake coming out from the back cost us to go down again on this game. And from there on, the game was basically over. Again, I think those are enough goals to review for today. The message is very similar from last time. Barcelona struggling to really defend. There's no defensive structure at all. A lot of space between the midfield and defensive line. Royal Antwerp able to exploit that. A lot of good pressing from them, and with the staff that we had out today with Sergio Roberto and Oriol Romeo, it was basically impossible to play out from the back. There were some good runs coming in from Fermin, Ferran Torres, but of course those balls just weren't coming in from Oriol Romeo from the back, and just having that play being staggered didn't help the team at all. Near the end of the game, we were able to tie the game to 2-2. Xavi, very late noticing again that we were struggling and threw on a couple of players, with them being Marc Guiu, who ended up scoring a beautiful cross from Gundogan, Marc Casado, Joao Cancelo, Pedri, and then Ilkay Gundogan, who was actually the one that centered that ball. So I think we were really victims of the staff that we put out today for this game, and the specific part that we don't have a defensive structure, so it's hard to change staff and not have players like Pedri out there, like Gundogan and Frenkie de Jong, who can play a really good ball out from the back and resolve a game. With players like Oriol Romeo and Sergio Roberto, it's really impossible to play out from the back the way Barcelona is trying to play, especially with a team that's pressing as well as Royal Antwerp is. And from there on, we would of course lose the game, very similar to that Girona game and that last goal where everyone's just pushing up now. We make a defensive mistake. We get a little bit unlucky with a bounce, and Ile and with Ile Nikena putting the game away with the 3-2, we would lose. And yeah, hopefully Barcelona can do better at Valencia. Xavi's is very confident in his team from the post-match conferences, saying that he's receiving too much hate with Barcelona still being in the Champions League, finishing first in their Champions League group, still being in the La Liga race and the Copa del Rey race, which I believe, it's fair for him to say those things. Of course, he is still in all those races, and we shouldn't be too harsh on him. But of course, just the play style and the way we're losing games is very disheartening. So I would love to see a different approach coming into the Valencia game and hopefully a statement win. And with that being said, guys, this will be it for the Royal Antwerp FC Barcelona post-match review, and I hope to see you guys for the next one for the Valencia FC Barcelona post-match review.